We're live. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Just gonna give it a minute.
The
I think.
awkward silence.
Yeah, there we go. We're live. So let me
Yeah.
figure this out. What's up, Amanda? All right, one more.
Okay, that.
All right. Hey, Jan, how are you? Can you see? Steph, can you see the screen or not?
I can't see the screen at all.
All right. Damn.
Let me see if I could.
Do you have a computer? That way, just in case anybody says anything, you can see it. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Let me check it out.
All right. What's going on, guys? So we we're gonna start. We're gonna try and do every Thursday, maybe, afternoonish time, do like a meeting. It's not just recovery, it's in general, topic discussions and stuff like that. Things people go through in life, obviously, in recovery, out of recovery, it doesn't matter. Just to widen the audience a little bit. Obviously, I'm in recovery. My name is Dan Carpenter, and Stephanie Robles, correct?
Yes.
All right. So she is not in recovery. However, she's on the positive vibe note. She has a lot of experience with public speaking. She has her own few pages, which we'll put in the comments underneath. But we're in a few of the same groups, and we just got to talking and figured, hey, why not, communicate? What's going on, Jeffro? Communicate with each other and, just go from different sides. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Steph, tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name is Stephanie Robles. I am a mom of four, and I have gone through this change. Like, you see so much negative and nastiness in the world today, and nobody ever talks about the really tough stuff that people go through in general. So I was like, well, let me come on and talk about those topics as we all grow, because we never hear about those things. It's always something so negative. Instead of being, a Debbie Downer all the time, let's talk about the real issues that people are going through, like fear, alcohol, drugs, all of those things, parenting, all of those things. And it's really opened up a huge door to me and struck a passion with my community. I definitely created a webinar to help parents connect with their kids more, because my husband's active duty, and it really helped me be more open and to sharing with others, because that's my passion.
Was it always like that for you? Were you always just like, get everything out, open up to, obviously now you're, social media, not everybody can open up as easily. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. No, I wasn't like that at all. At one point, I was in a depression mode. I was very closed off. I was in my home. I used to live in Alaska, so there's not a lot of sun. So if you don't get a certain amount of sunlight in there, depression is really high in Alaska. And it really took me through a toll. I was very depressed, and I'm that type of person that I can talk about my feelings very openly, but I'm very introverted. I don't like to I'm a wallflower. There we go. That's the best way to describe it.
I like that. And like I said, it's a lot easier when you start, not necessarily on Facebook or social media, but when you start talking to somebody about what's going on, build some kind of relationship. I think for myself, I usually do better in dealing with whatever I got to deal with. And that brings me to our first topic, acceptance, right? A lot of people have different views on it. Myself, Obviously, I'm in recovery. I have my views, but in general, you know, one big thing for me is acceptance of myself and others. And, that's not always, it wasn't always that case. I struggled with that for a long time. And now I can accept who I am. I have to do some things to continue to grow, but I have to have some acceptance for other people. On the flip side, I have to remain teachable, and, I'm not a doormat. So, like, I can't be getting pushed around. However, I have to look at the whole situation. Example, not me. I love my job, but a lot of people don't like their job. They don't like it, and I understand you got to make money. You got family, you got bills. But if it's that bad, you can always get another job, right? I mean, make a move if it's that bad. You don't have to accept that your boss is a jerk. If he's inappropriate or whatever like that. You can put the effort in and get another job. I had to be taught a lot of things about acceptance, especially myself. Usually when there's something going on with me in my experience, there I have to look at people, and you deal with people on a daily basis, and you don't know where that person's coming from. Like I said, it's different when if you're being treated terribly or something like that. You don't have to just take, but I have to look at the whole picture. Again, a lot of different scenarios. In one of our books, it talks about acceptance, and it goes into detail, and it comes back to self. When I'm not doing the things I need to do on a daily basis, and this is in recovery or not, I believe, something's wrong with me. I'm disturbed. There's something wrong with me. It usually happens behind the wheel. There's times where, it's not a big deal. Whatever he pulled in front of me, whatever. There's other times where it's just like, raging. If that would happen every single day, that's one thing, but it doesn't. So really, what's the root of the whole problem? There's something going on inside of Dan. And all these things were taught to me, but when it comes down to it for myself, most and foremost, where I'm at in life, I had to accept, that I was an alcoholic and drug addict. Before anything else, before I could do anything else, I had to accept that. And then I had to find reasons, like, why and what are we going to do about it? And through that process, like, I get to experience this thing that we call life. And, it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't always go well. It really does. There's ups and downs, but it always comes back to what's going on with me. And it's not a selfish thing at all, but acceptance, like, I know who I am today, and I didn't always know. But yeah, other people, it's tough. It really is. I mean, patience, tolerance, all that stuff can fall in with this, but I shouldn't let somebody else bother me to the extent where I lose focus on everything. My day's ruined, all that stuff. And all that stuff used to happen, So that's just a little bit about my side for acceptance. Where do you stand with that, Stephanie?
I had to accept that just because I'm a mom with 4 kids and I take care of the house and I do all of those things, that I didn't want that to just be me. That wasn't an all encompassing role, because as a mom, that's what you live for. That's your job. And sometimes society has this way of skewing your view on that. Like, you have to sacrifice everything to be a mom, including your dreams, when that's not really the case. How can I sit here and tell my children, go do your dreams, you can be anything you want to be, but I sacrifice my own dreams? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me coming on here and talking to people about those things, and even you're doing what you're doing and talking about that other side, it's helping other people be able to accept who they are, who they truly are themselves, because we empower them to go after their own dreams.
Yeah.
And it's a hard road. I'm not going to say it's easy. There are times where I have to go in a van, in a car, and I'm in the car because I need a quiet space, but I make it happen. And there's something about when you're talking to somebody one on one and you're vibing with them and you see they have that aha moment where it just clicks for them, because you can't tell somebody this is how you are, this is what is going on. They gradually have to um, come to that conclusion themselves. It's an amazing sight.
Um, I some of the reading in here, and I'm not going to talk about exactly what book it is, but it's a huge line. For me, anyways, it says, "Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, or thing or situation, some fact in my life is unacceptable to me, and I can't find no serenity until I accept that person, place, or thing." And that's what it comes down to. Like if something's going on, like I have to get like to the root of everything, and don't get it twisted. We're not all going to like it, each and every one of us, but why is that person bothering me? And a lot of the times it was that guy's maybe acting how I used to act. Sometimes it could be jealousy, stuff like that. And I have to like bring it down a gear, really, like how important am I going to let a situation or person determine how my day goes today? And at the end of the day, if I don't take care of these things, and I believe not just myself, but, on the recovery aspect, eventually that stuff's going to eat you alive, and eventually people end up drinking or using. That's what happens. You don't deal with your feelings. All kinds of stuff can, happen, but really important is acceptance. And, people throw that word around a lot. It just takes practice, it really does. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of acceptance. You have 4 children, you know,
Yeah.
like, how could you tie in acceptance to, just say being a mom? How could you do that?
I have 2 of my boys have ADHD. So, but
No wonder
one,
you can pay attention to me pretty good. That's why. Okay, got it.
my kids, I have ADHD too. So one is extremely but there's different types of ADHD. So one is the type of kid that he's really, really hyper. He's moving all the time. So I have to control that aspect of it. And then my other son is a completely different version. He's kind of in his head, his thought process. And so it's like I have twin girls. So you deal with it the best way that the best way you can. Being What really helps me understand them is being a little more slow to speak but quick to listen. Listening to what their needs instead of my own allowed me to be a better parent and actually make it sometimes fun, because I mean, come on. Toddlers with their, I call it Scarlett O'Hara moments, where the toddler is like this drama and they fall on the floor, and you're just looking, I'm like, wow. There are days where I just do it too, and they stop, and it's amazing. Sometimes you just gotta vibe with your kids, and we wish that we were that parent that at 3 o'clock we could go have fun, go to the bowling alley. When I'm mad at my kids and it's summer, I grab water balloons and I throw it at them. It gets the anger out, gets the frustration out. I get the block involved. We'll have a block water gun fight. And it's just something to take them out of that element, take them out of that mindset, change it.
That's it. Definitely changing. So, another topic we were throwing around a little bit, we can bounce back and forth, is a big thing, fear. And, I was always like, I'm not afraid of nothing. I'm not afraid of nothing. I mean, I didn't like snakes, right? But I wasn't afraid of nothing. And my experience, well, I was so jamming everything in, and I was drinking, I was using, I never felt, and I didn't know that then. A lot of this stuff, is feelings. I was failed. I was fearful of not succeeding in life. My life was a mess. I was 26 years old. I was going nowhere. It was just your typical drunken alcoholic kind of person. And that way when I got help, I cleaned my life up, these little fears started coming in. Some say it might have been your alcoholism, your addiction, whatever it was, but I was clean and, you're not good enough, that kind of stuff. And you're not going to make it. You ain't nothing. All these little negative things were happening. And a lot of them, my fears was just because I wasn't used to feeling number one and I don't want to let nobody down, you know. Today, do I have fears? Yeah. I mean, I have some healthy fears, but I mean, it's just so different now. Like anybody can do it. I mean, like regardless what you're going through in life, I think if you take whatever the steps and measures that there are to get help if you need it or get better counseling, any kind of thing, I think you can battle your fears, and that's what I try and do on a daily basis. I never, when I first got help, and for the first few years, I wouldn't be on Facebook, like doing something like this and what I've been doing because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. But still sometimes to today, I have a fiance and I have a baby girl. There's times in my life that come up and I'm like, maybe I'm not the good father. I have to really think about that. And, as long as I'm trying to do the best I can do and I can provide and be there, it takes work. But, those fears come in saying maybe you're not good enough, and I know that that's not true. But if I don't handle those situations, you know, anything can take you out. And I don't know. It's just this whole process going on has just been great, ups and downs. But when it comes to fears, and I got to bring this back to the addiction side because that's just what's going on right now with everybody's life, if you're in it or not. Um, I fear that we're going to lose a lot more people. And that's why I do what I can. I try and do the best that I can to help people spread awareness, that kind of thing. But, I have a daughter now. You have kids, like, they're going to be growing up. And, I mean, it's everywhere. So, like, I pray a lot. I really do. Maybe not the correct way to pray, but, I have a higher power and stuff. But I got a kid, and it like I would never want my child to go through what I went through or I put my mother through. And that's not up to me, that's not in my hands, but that is fearful. I'm not gonna say, we're both in recovery, so like her getting away with something when she gets older is never gonna happen. We've been there, done that. But that is a fear of mine, and I believe that's reality. We can do our best, raise her the best, like they say, be a power of example, be a mom, be a dad, but that's a healthy fear to have. It's just, but on the flip side, working at yourself, whatever you do, I believe, you know, you can battle your fears. Like there's a lot of things that I've done that I never would have done, because I was scared or whatever the reason was. A big thing for me was, what are they going to think? You know, ego is a funny word. It really is. Some may say it's edging God out. Others will say, what they say. But when I stopped caring, now don't get you wrong. Like I care what people think about me. However, I'm not a people pleaser. I want to carry myself the right way. I want to be somebody that, would, if they need help or they need to talk or whatever, I would be there. But I'm not people pleasing today. And I used to be somebody I wasn't. When I was doing my thing years and years ago, I was pretty much like a people pleaser. So like, you know, fears they get limited for me as long as I keep going. But what about you, Steph?
My thing is, my biological father was a drug addict. So when you come, that's why I love the way life is, because life will put you in a situation not where you want to be, but where you need to be. So us vibing together, it really resonated with me because my hugest fear is becoming him, becoming that addict and losing. I remember losing myself and my kids seeing me. Like I remember things, times where used to live in New York City, and he said that he and his cousin were using, and he remembers waking up in a dumpster high off his butt and having flies coming out of his mouth because he was just messed up.
Yeah.
And me living in a house like that, that's my hugest fear. That fear is really deep inside of me. So when I get stressed out, like my husband had just deployed for a year, I have 4 kids. Like, dude, I was using a vacuum cleaner as like that vacuum cleaner stayed because my kids are scared of it. So that vacuum cleaner stayed there. Like I needed help. I was over numbered. And that was my hugest fear. Like, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? Am I a really horrible parent? And through that time, I realized so much more about yourself. The battles that we go through on a daily basis, they prepare you for the next journey in your life. Like, once you get to the top of that mountain, dude, you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm fine. But then when you look across the valleys and you're like seeing all those peaks, you're like, I don't know about all this. I don't know if I'm ready to accept the challenge of that life. And I told Dan I was going to bring out the jar because this is my secret weapon that I use, and I got it for my kids. They say you cannot drink from an empty cup because we all need to fill ourselves with positivity and all of that. And I did it for the kids. I went on to an event with 20 women. All right, Dan, come on. You know women. 20 other women in one house. There was no drama. There was no bickering. There was no nothing. It was all positiveness. I have never heard of being in a house with 20 women and there's no drama. I mean, come on. We're women. We difficult. We difficult. I know it. I am not scared to admit it. And we came up with this, and we all wrote for the 5 days that we were in the house. We wrote each other messages. There was breakthroughs, there was crying, there was tears, but it was all about helping our community in some way, spread a message of hope and helping others and being a service to others. So whenever I feel badly about myself, I break out this jar. And it could be something like, you're so creative, you're so this, you're so that. And it fills up that cup to help battle those days. And that's what I use.
That's actually a really good idea. It really is. We do we actually have meetings sort of like that, and but I just to go back to not being good enough, and people would always ask me, Dan, who do you want to be? Like, you don't like who you are right now. Who do you want to be? And I never knew. I never knew that answer, and I was just afraid of being who I always was. I always screwed up. I didn't have like I just let a lot of people down. It just like you never know where you're going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Staying in the moment, I believe, is huge for somebody like myself, because I can miss all the good things going on. I don't stay too much in the negative because I know what happens. I really do. I know what happens. I affect people around me. I'm miserable. I think, how do we get out of that? And with the whole fear thing, like the biggest thing I see is people are afraid to ask for help. And I was one of them. There's nothing to be scared or embarrassed of asking for help. Like, now I'll put my hand up any I don't know. If I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. And like the point I'm at in my life, like I said, it doesn't bother me that, like, am I thinking, oh, are they going to think I'm stupid, or what are they going to think of me for asking for help or asking a question? Like, that doesn't bother me today. It wasn't always like that though, because you had to see me, like you can't think less of me, that kind of thing. Those fears gone away, but I got to tell you, it didn't just happen like that. For me, there were some measures that I had to take to to battle these things. Nothing's going to just disappear. It wasn't magic. But from like you said, I was always afraid that I was going to be my father, and I was, if not worse. So like, I always think about that. I hear people's stories and stuff like that, and Thank God I got what I needed, but it's scary. It's scary out there, and not succeeding in life is a huge fear for a lot of people. Um, and I think it's good when people look at themselves and you know, see what they can do better. Not everybody does that. Like I never would do that. Somebody had to teach me that kind of thing. But I think when we as a whole, we do that kind of stuff, like we never stop growing. It doesn't happen overnight. But the fear of failing, like I try not to even let it go there. Like I said, it might enter my mind, but right out. And I think one of the best things I believe, when you're feeling like that, your fears are, everywhere and you don't know where to turn. I think to help somebody else, would really help you at that moment. Helping the next person, whether if it's a neighbor, if it's a volunteer work, if it's, if you're in recovery, if it's at the grocery store, wherever, to get the focus off you. That's what I do.
I definitely agree with that. There was a time where I went to a therapist. I had to. Being pregnant with twins, your body's full of hormones, and it's to the point where once you give birth, the hormones still stay with you. I suffered from postpartum depression, but it wasn't as bad. My family goes through depression. It runs in my family too. So I knew I was going to hit it. I didn't know how badly it was. And it was really bad to the point where I remember giving birth and I was in the bed crying, like begging my mom not to leave me because I was scared. I wasn't enough. I couldn't do this. I have two. It's not one baby, it's two. So that's like my husband's active duty. So that whole year, don't ask me what happened that year. I remember spurts because we were in survival mode at that time, waking every 2 to 3 hours to feed somebody that's beside yourself. And then I ended up in the hospital 6 months later, and it was crazy, dude. Like, and I actually had to go get help
Yeah.
because I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I could. I didn't understand. And I even asked God, I was like, why did you choose me? Why did you give me? You must think I am superwoman because you gave me too much on this plate. I don't think I can handle this. And now I look at it like I could talk about it and it doesn't phase me. And that's how you truly know you're over something, when you can talk about an experience, and that it goes back to acceptance. When you can talk about it, an experience that you've had, that it's affected your life, and not cry about it, that's how you know you've healed from that. You've moved on and moved past it.
That's
And
that's that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
no, go ahead, man.
No, no, that's a good point. Like moving, like when are you really over something? And yeah, absolutely, because there's if you're not over, you can't really talk about it. And not. I believe things take time. You know, I don't know. Like my process is just my process, and everybody goes through different things, but since you're over that and now like you could share and you might be able to help somebody else out that might be going through a pregnancy or is dealing with postpartum or whatever. Like, look, this is your story. You made it out. It's okay. And here's the steps that you took to get yourself some counseling and stuff like that. This whole like I'm gonna do it on my own thing. There's no need. There's so many people in the world, and there's so many different places that can help individuals. But that's that old ego thing, I believe. I tried to do it my way for so long, and it got me nowhere. I just kept digging deeper and deeper. So you also have a another page, correct? Besides the 380.
Um, yes, I do. I have a fitness page because I realized that I needed an outlet for myself. I have a lot of energy. Like I get the max. I'm good on 4 hours of sleep, and I can go a lot. So I
Yeah.
needed an outlet for all that stress or the depression. I noticed there was a connection with my moods. Like if it's a sunny day or it's cold or whatever, I'm good. But if it's raining, like I just start to feel kind of sad or just not good about myself. So when those moments come, I kind of I just started becoming active, some boxing, kickboxing, running, just working out in general, just doing things, occupying my mind, blasting music, playing with the kids, something to take me out of that mood. Because if I stay there too long, which is another fear of mine, I will become depressed and I won't want to get up. I won't want to, excuse me, take showers and do things because that's what people do in depression. You just get stuck in this, it's almost like quicksand. There we go. Depression is almost like quicksand. And it's that's how you feel until somebody, and think of reaching out to somebody like you're trying to get out of the quicksand and they're handing you like a rope or something
Yeah.
to get you out, to pull you out of it. That's what it is, right or wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it is. So that, because there's a lot of people that deal with that and they don't want to seek the help. And it's hard. I can't force anybody to want to get help. But when you have children involved, when you have a significant other or you have a mom or dad or somebody, hold on to that, because sometimes that is the one thing that will pull you out of that mentality and make you want to reach out for help. Because I guarantee you that's what I had to do. I had to swallow that ego, just like you said, Dan. I could do it by myself. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I could do it. I could do it. And that's, sooner or later you look back and you're in a hole and you're curled up like a little kid in a ball, and you're flipping out like, I don't know what to do. And that's the scary part, is reach out to somebody, get help. There's so many different avenues. They have people that if they don't have cell phones, they can text, they call you, email. There's so many different avenues to get help.
When I got sober, they were like, "Hey, man, you probably should get some kind of hobby because you got way too much energy and you just need to find something to do." And so, anyways, it took a few years, but I got into running and working out and stuff, and of course, I stopped. But during that like year and a half, 2 year mark, I seen a change. Like I felt better inside and I felt better outside. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just different, Then I stopped, we had a baby, all that. Now excuse. But for real, like I do know when something went on, I was running regardless. I hated to run. I played sports my whole life, hated running. And that was a fear of mine. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then I kicked its ass, and then, I got crazy about it and whatever. But when something would go on, like I remember running and like it was like whew, it all went away. You know what I mean? Like whatever I was feeling about before that run, majority of the time I didn't even remember what I was upset about. And little things like that, and my fiance, I told her, obviously I've been put on a couple pounds, since then, and I was like, when the pain's almost there, the pain's almost ready enough to start back up again, but it's absolutely a great outlet for anybody. I'm not saying you got to run the marathon. You don't got to bench press 500 pounds or anything like that, but just like do something, some kind of structure instead of sitting inside your head. That was huge for me, and a lot of people, like I've never struggled with really depression. I mean, I was a drug addict and stuff like that. Yeah, like there was times I was depressed. Of course, I was drinking alcohol, but I don't know too much about it. But I do have friends and I talk to people. And what you said about the quicksand thing, that like I can relate to that. I might not be able to relate to it on a depression level, but feeling hopeless, I can relate to that. And that's the thing, like, people will ask for help, but they're already like underground pretty much, And I tell people that I work with and stuff like that, if like you can ask for help like right away. Don't try and do it on your own. Don't try and sink. You don't have to go through that struggle and the pain and the misery. You know what I mean? Like just put your hand up. And it is what it is. But yeah, definitely hobbies, man. And like I'm just I complain about some things, but when I like at the end of the day, when I look at my life, yeah, there's some things I can do better. But I have a good life, and it's because of dealing with other people, learning, keeping an open mind, and opening up. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just different, you know. But I definitely think an outlet's good, and then I gotta find that balance thing, right? So like when I do something, I do like it's just like that's it. Like I'm doing it, and then I forget about other stuff. You know what I mean? So like I don't know where you at with balance. Like you got 4 kids, you got a busy life. I always talk to other people like, what do they do? Maybe they're not as sick as I am. I don't know. But how do you balance doing your pages, your home life, your exercise? Like, how do you balance all of that?
I make it a part of that's my circus right there. Your kids are a circus. They're running around you. They're going crazy. I make it I wake up at 4 in the morning to get that 1 hour by myself. I have to have that reflection time, that meditation time, that downtime for me. Nobody's tugging on me, nobody's pulling on me. It's just my time. Once 5 o'clock hits, I get the kids squared away. I have a routine, a schedule, and they're on it and they know it by heart. If there's like no school that day, we'll mix it up. We'll do a remix of it. It's a lot of people think that you have to have this set plan, this parenting guide. This is written in the book. No, you might want to throw that away because it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen just like that. And you mix it up. You do whatever's best for you. Sometimes my workouts can range from 30 minutes, sometimes to 45. My 2 girls, they're twins. They're 3-year-old twins. And one will work out with me. One's a water girl, one's a towel dry girl. I'll have to stop like every 3 seconds to like
Mhm.
towel dry them. They see me drying myself off. So they're like, Mommy, dry me here. And I'm like, okay, I'm drying you. She's like, okay. And we'll just do it and we'll work it. As long as I get 30 minutes in, I'm good. But it also teaches them on the flip side that they need to be active and they can do things. I even teach them, we go into the kitchen and we cook things together, making them a part of that world for you. And doing things, remix it. There's no perfect way to do what you do. Just do whatever feels good for you at that moment, you know?
I think I know who I am today and I know what I want to do. I think if like people would just care, and I say this all the time, and but it's true. Like if people would just carry their message, like them, what they believe in, or like what their way is, you can help a lot of people. You'd be surprised. You can help a lot of people, and everybody might not have that same path, but like if you keep your ears open, you might be able to apply what somebody's saying into your daily life. Um, and that's been one huge asset for me. Everything on social media. Yes, there's a lot of garbage on it. But there is a lot of good people, and there's a lot of knowledge out there if you're listening. If you're not, then you're not going to get it. But it's been a huge asset for me. I don't know. I just take what I need, and you know what I mean. Like it is what it is. But back to acceptance. I never thought that I'd be able to accept myself. For all the things I've done in my past. Yes, it's the past, but unfortunately, like you got to deal with that stuff. You have to deal with your feelings, and like it just doesn't go away. Um, and when I've got to some points in my life where I could deal with them, not all at once because it's overwhelming. Um, like I can't for myself, it wasn't obviously I wouldn't do half the things I did, when I was drinking and using, but like that's not like I can't use that as an excuse, but when I got through those things, like I felt like a weight was lifted off of me, knowing that I'm not going to do that same behavior again, and knowing that I did the best I can to be a different person, I feel lighter. I really do. But I'd accept really who I was. It wasn't always like the greatest person in the world. And people will tell you that. And some people really don't care that I straighten my life up, and that's okay. They have that right. And that was another thing I had to be taught. Like, not everybody's really going to care that that you've done some people wrong. So, like, what are you going to do about it, kind of thing. And it just takes work. It really does. But I like who I am today. On a real level. Do I have some growing to do? Absolutely. And that's why I try to remain teachable. I have to. And, that's just life in general because I don't know everything. I promise you. And like with the help of you, all kinds of people out there, I can listen and hear. You know, my listening skills were never like really wasn't the best listener. Real wasn't. Let's be real. Um, but over time, like when you're in pain and people have the answers, like you develop that listening skill. You really do. Um, and that's what I do. That's what I do on a daily. It's hard though. It's hard. I'm just trying to read some of the comments here.
Yeah, we're like vibing and we're like, I'm so sorry, y'all. We're like really deeply into the conversation and vibing, and we're like, oh wait, comments. Wait a minute.
So somebody said, "Is it normal to trade my drug addiction for food? I've been clean for 14 months and gained 60 pounds." So like my experience, like I don't know, my whole life I've dealt with my weight up and down, up and down, up and down. I remember 10 years ago, I went and got sober. I went to a rehab and they put me on all kind of medicine because they thought I was loony. And that made me eat a lot. I gained weight. I didn't take care of my body. I lost a lot of weight. Sober, like I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor. I just know my experience. Like, I know a lot of people put on weight when they get sober. A lot of times people, myself, I shouldn't say people, myself, like I eat because I'm bored, stuff like that. Um, I don't know what's normal, what's not normal. All I know is like I said earlier, it's about that time for me. Like that pain's getting a little bit too much. Like I gotta go for a run. I gotta cut down the carbs. I gotta stop eating the cookies. That kind of thing. I know when it's there. I lost 70 pounds, almost 70 pounds in like a year and a half. And then I put on 30 because I just stopped. But like I'm getting there. So I know what happens. Me and my fiance have this talk a lot. She's skinny as a rail. Um, you know, the weight thing comes up, her, me, and it doesn't matter what we say like to one another. I mean, she looks great. She said I look great. But it's like thank you, but deep down inside, I don't feel that. So what can we do about it? And then you just do what you got to do. There's all kind of health books out there. I don't know what you're into. There's Stephanie runs a page. There's all kind of different diets work for different people. I hate calling them diets, but eating better works for different people. I just know what for myself when I get in the game, I cut my carbs down. Man, I love me some carbs. I love bread. I love noodles. All that stuff and the soda. That's a wrap. What you got for that stuff?
When it comes, because my godmother was Italian, so forget it. When we're talking about carbs, pasta, that was my thing. What I didn't like about the whole word of diet is that it was very restrictive. You can't have this carb, you can't have that carb. I'm like, I don't like that. So when I changed my mentality, I met it like I'm competing against myself. Like, okay, Stephanie is stressed out. Instead of drinking for alcohol, I know that's horrible. Most people do that when they're stressed, they'll grab alcohol. And I'll notice I'll do that and I'll catch myself because there's a lot of empty calories in alcohol. There's not, I'm a whiskey drinker. Sorry. I love
No.
whiskey. It's bomb for me, but then I clear I stick to clear drinks and I stick to a 2 drink minimum and make sure that's how once I don't go past 2. I make sure that I go heavy, stick to the meats, and then I'll eat my carbs. Drink a glass of water before you eat because the water will fill you up faster so that way you won't eat as much. See
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So so then doing that, taking on my page I have so many videos of different ways to cook really good food. And I'm not talking about like rocket science food. You got to buy 50 different types of food. I'm talking about maybe 6 different ingredients in 30 minutes because hello, I'm a mom with 4 kids. I even get my kids involved in the kitchen to show them what actual fruit is. Did you know that a can of sweet potatoes actually started producing gives people heartburn because of the canning process. So if you
Really?
roast, yeah, if you roasted the sweet potatoes in the oven, it may be, well, here in Tennessee the prices are different. I don't know, but I'll spend maybe $1 extra just to buy a couple of pounds of sweet potatoes, roast them in the oven, and then mash them up, put some coconut oil and milk with stevia in it, and make a sweet potato pie out of it. But it tastes like pumpkin, but it's good for you. Less calories, less sugar, better for you.
I mean, like I for I mean, like when I got sober, like the first, it's not like I was like huge, but like weight would go up and down. But I didn't really start looking at something until I really got on this low carb thing, because obviously it worked. So I would obsess about it, which is not the right thing to do. But everybody's different. Like I would never tell anybody. I just know what will work for me. But I do know when people watch what they eat and stuff like that, you spend a lot more money. It's like the healthier stuff is, the more expensive it is, but it is what it is. I don't know, but that's a thing. Like, I just knew, like when I knew I was done using drugs and alcohol, it was the same thing with when I get to a certain weight limit, man. When I don't feel comfortable, then you got to make a move, and it's a process, like anything. The first few weeks suck. They really do. Just like if you quit smoking or whatever you're doing, the first few weeks stink. They really do. But when you see results, for myself, when I start seeing results, then I'm like, all right, it ain't that bad. But it is what it is. But it was funny. Like you're apologizing. Look, not every I like to this day, I'm not jealous of people that could drink 2 drinks. There's a few reasons for that. One, I never would have drank 2 drinks, and two, like it's not reality for me. So like just because like people like myself got sober, right? Doesn't mean everybody, like, you know what I mean? Like it's all good. But yeah, I do know, people that, obviously talk to a lot of people that are in really great shape and stuff like that. They don't, they watch what they drink. They really do. They're not alcoholics or anything like that, but they won't. Soda's the big thing, but all the booze and the beer and stuff like that, that's a lot of carbohydrates, but it is what it is. Check her page out. Maybe you can see some videos or something on there, and get you up with a diet, not a diet, but like a meal plan,
Lifestyle
and
change.
correct. It is a lifestyle change. You're right. My fiance, when I go on this thing, and I'm probably gonna have to do it really soon now because I'm talking about it out loud on air. So like I eat like mad meat and just like veggies and like these bars, right? They're Atkins bars, right? I'm not on an Atkins diet, just a low carb diet, and these bars are like mad expensive. So like they used to be cheaper, but then everybody started buying them, I guess, and obviously there's more money. And it's like I'm paying more for a bar like that big than a big ass like Reese's king size. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on. But no, but for real, like lifestyle change is very hard and it's uncomfortable. But look, like we got to take care of ourselves, and only the individual will be able to do that. I can't. I can't do it for you, and just like you couldn't do it for me. But it's very uncomfortable, and just make sure you eat, though. A lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna just not eat." It's like, you know what I mean? Like they'll eat like one meal a day, which is horrible for you. But hey, I don't know. But early recovery, sobriety, man, it's great. Life is good. You want to add anything, Steph? Anything going on in your mind?
Well, I'm thinking if you think about it, you're trading one addiction for another. Once you get clean, you're trading a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction for a food addiction because you're looking for that same. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just
Yeah.
thinking in my brain that you're looking for that same kind of um what do they say? I think they call it like an adrenaline rush, that rush, that feeling.
The
That's
fix?
why
Like the fix?
yeah, like they're looking for that feeling, that instant gratification, that you know.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, like there's all different levels too. Like, I mean, some people will gain some like you majority. All right, for my like majority of people that are drug addicts and alcoholics, we usually don't have the best diet, right? like we don't. I didn't. I mean, I didn't know when I was going to eat. If I was doing speed for 5 days, I wasn't eating for 5 days. You know what I mean? Like if I was drinking at a bar, eating bar, I wasn't taking care of myself. I don't know how her situation is, but you know, like just get some kind of plan. Some people do gain weight when they get sober. Now, is it an addiction? I don't know. Are you eating when you, like I said, I'm not, you know, just look at when you're eating, how much you're eating, look at the calories, all that stuff, and then maybe cut back, try something different, some exercise. But yes, could it be an addiction? Yeah. I mean, there's some people, but just because you gain weight when you got sober doesn't mean you're food addicted. You know what I mean?
True.
I was just like, I don't even know, man. Like, I don't know. It was just like I said, I dealt with it my whole life. So I actually think the hobby thing, you know, I started running and dieting, and it was just like, okay, well, you know, and then I stopped running. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not running anymore. So I'm just going to eat whatever. And then now you're at square one again. So, but yeah, it could be an addiction. You never know. You can be addicted to a lot of things. Social media can be addicted. You know, my fiance says I am. Maybe, I don't know. But you know, it is what it is. I don't know. It's been cool though. Really good conversation. What else you got, Steph? Anything?
I'm just one of those people that, just like you said, opening, like, look, we kind of had like a little disagreement. You don't always have to agree with everything that somebody says. It's all perception. And as I say, it's all data. You know, it's okay to have a difference of opinion and be good with it. And it's awesome that we can sit here, vibe with each other, talk about different areas of life, because that's what it does. If you don't accept yourself, you're gonna feel some type of way about yourself. You're gonna feel off. You're not gonna feel right, and you're not gonna know what to do about it. So it's like it affects different areas of life. If you're an emotional eater, if you're not an emotional eater, if you're an emotional drinker, or emotions come into play. Sometimes I can't speak for everybody else, but when you go into a depression mode, you're not thinking about nobody else. So you're kind of being selfish. You're stuck in that bubble. You can't see that way out. You're hopeless. You feel hopeless. There we go. Let me phrase that. You feel hopeless. And you gotta get yourself out of that. And it's hard. Some people have a very trying time with that. And accepting where you're at. I accept that I'm not perfect. I accept that I'm scared. I accept that I'm lonely. I accept that I need help. How do I get that help? And some people will say that they don't have money, they don't have things, and I'll be the first one to be like, here you go, here's a free thing, or outsourcing, coming on, watching you, Dan, because let me tell you, the stuff you talk about is legit, real life experiences that people go through on a daily basis, and it's not shouted out enough, man. Like, legit, you're really talking about things that are so relatable, not only from a recovery aspect or sobriety, but just life in general. And that's what's so amazing about you, bro. Like, you just really, you talk about everything, and that's awesome, and I love it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And like I said, this is all stuff like, you know, recovery is just a process, you know, and it's another way of life. But like it's, you know, sometimes, you know, what we do in recovery can help other people, like different kind of things, you know what I mean? And that's what I find very fascinating. You know, we have some steps and stuff like that, but like if you apply it in your life, you know, anybody can learn from it. And I want to thank you for, you know, doing this. And I think it's good. You know, next week we'll, if we can, come on and, you know, we'll get a few more topics. We'll toss them up and, you know, just do what we do. When we get off here, if you can go into comments on the replay, tag all your pages. A couple people were asking about it here.
Yeah.
My one boy, Monty B, he's coming up on a year. He's in recovery. He just started recently, you know, talk about that hobby. He started walking, then he started running. He has like a recovery coach and stuff. So I'm sure he's going to be interested in hearing some of the exercises and stuff like that. He's into public speaking as well. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley Young said, you both should feel very proud of the milestones you've overcome and continue to overcome. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So like little things like this, I think we can reach some people, and it's not about the numbers, nothing like that. Just about giving back, getting the message out. Because look, I don't know about you, but just from hearing what you said, if you get in that depressive moment, you get kind of selfish, right? Same thing with myself. Maybe not depression, but if I'm all about me and not thinking about the new person and trying to give some hope, then I'm not doing nothing. You know what I mean? So like I think this stuff is good. It gets us out of self. Communication is key, and just put the message out there. Wherever the message goes, it goes. So it's been awesome. Thank you very much. Please put your pages on there. Some of my people will be coming over, and hopefully we'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.